Hello, everybody. So today we're going to talk about the studying styles and productivity. We're moving from the communication topics into our next part. Okay, and we're going to start with the questions. So just stop for a moment and think to yourself, what are the necessary things for learning process to be efficient? What are the things, what are the characteristics that the student need to have in different areas to be successful in studying? So what are the traits that they need to possess? What kind of people should they be? Okay, so think to yourself and then we are going to discuss this in the class. Did you think about it? So, among the main ideas why what would people need to succeed in studying are motivation, so eagerness to study, eagerness to perform the activity, the basic skills like attention, reading, writing, numeric skills that all we have learned quite a while ago. Then personal preferences regarding time, physical and interpersonal skills. So the person has to be able to manage their time, has to have the capabilities to actually perform the studies. Yes, then the learning strategies, so having some sort of tools to approach the learning process. We will talk about that more. And the time management and organizational skills. So arranging your time, arranging your schedule, actually coming to the meetings, and things like that. Okay, I hope you named some of this and maybe even more. We can talk about that in the class. So, what is motivation? So, motivations are the factors that activate direct and sustained goal directed behavior. So, these are our whys of behavior. Why do we even act like some way? And these are the needs or the wants that, yes, that drive us, our behavior, and can explain what we do. So, we don't really observe the motives of people, but we infer that one exists by observing their behavior. Why does it matter to study motivation? So you remember motivation was our first step in the studying skills because it helps us to maintain the goal-directed behavior. We focus on our goal and pursue it. That it helps us show more effort and energy that we want to pursue this task. We can use this energy to put it into this achievement. Then it can help us to initiate activities and persist in them. So if we have a motivation, we would be more likely to initiate something. If we are more motivated to studying communication skills, then we will initiate some activities or be solution oriented. If we are not, we will just complain and say that everything is wrong. Then it helps us to achieve deeper cognitive processing because when we are motivated, then the dominant in our head, it turns on and then we pay more attention simply. And we usually experience more positive effect if we are motivated. And this concept is related to the concept of flow, which I would like to introduce. So according to Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, and in his book Flow, he describes the table that you can see. So here you can see that one axis is action and opportunities or challenges, and other one is capabilities or skills. So if the task is somehow too challenging and we don't have much capabilities, then we will feel anxiety. If the task is not so challenging and we have lots of skills, so if someone asks you to maybe calculate 2 plus 2, might be a little bit bored with that. So he says that the flow state, so the state when you're really involved in what you're doing, is achieved when the task is not too challenging, but also not too boring, not too simple, and that we have enough capabilities to perform that task. This is his book. I strongly invite you to read this book. It's quite interesting. Okay. Let's go forward. There are two types of motivation. There is extrinsic motivation, or other words, external motivation. This means that one who has this kind of motivation would study because they want to get a good grade, or they would clean their room to avoid being shouted at by their parents, or they participate in a sport just because they want to win an award, or they are competing in a contest because they want to win a scholarship. These are the examples. So extrinsic motivation is something that um, it's like a carrot in front of us, and we want to achieve something just because we want that carrot. Intrinsic motivation, on contrary, is something that motivates us from within. So this is our internal drive to achieve some results. And examples of those could be participation in a sport because you find the activity enjoyable, or solving a puzzle because you find it challenging and fun and exciting, and you have the skill for doing that. And because you're playing a game because you find it exciting. Okay, not because you want to win over everybody. And there are some cases when you would want to avoid motivating people in extrinsic or intrinsic way, maybe more in an extrinsic way. For instance, when the person already finds the activity intrinsically rewarding, so they already like math, for instance, or they like psychology, and you don't need to, give them money or promise them to buy them what they want to motivate them to do something. Okay, because if you do, they will actually lose their motivation, and they will treat this action as in a consumer way. So they will think that okay, I will now do this. It's so simple, and I will get this reward. So this is not how you can motivate others, and that's not how you want to motivate yourself. And then, as you can see, this kind of activity motivated extrinsically can feel like work rather than like pleasure. And intrinsic motivation is something to develop in ourselves. So, in any activity, if you read Flow, you will get more insight about that. In any activity, even the most, simple, like washing dishes, you can find certain intrinsic motivators. Like, for instance, you want to observe, you can do it faster, or if you can do it really efficiently, or if you can do it in many different ways every time. So you can motivate yourself somehow and have fun with this. So, because, yes, it helps you to be in the moment and to enjoy what you do. And here are some questions for the class discussion related to studying. And you will think about this, and we're going to talk about them. So, what do you do to motivate yourself when you are stuck in studying? How do you encourage yourself? What are the things or activities that are useful in getting you through a difficult spot? So, if you feel really challenged, what do you do to go further? Okay, so think about this, and we're going to talk about it. And I wanted you to look deeper into motivations of things that you're doing. For instance, now your main activity is studying at university, and I want you to think what are the motivations of you to start the studying? Why did you decide to start studying psychology? And here are some options. So you will look at them and rate them from 1 to 7, where 1 is something that was not important decision making criteria when you were choosing this, and 7 was very important. Okay, so parents or family expected me to do this, or I wanted to improve my professional skills, etc., etc. And you will rate every of those, and then you will choose 2 top motivations. For instance, I don't know, you said that diploma gives a social status, and I'm interested in psychology. Let's imagine, and then this was your motivations with number 7, and then I wanted my family to be proud, or something might be 1 for you, or the opposite. Maybe you think that, oh, the social status doesn't matter, but I wanted my family to be proud of me, and I wanted to be respected by others. Okay, so this way you're going to choose what's important for you, and then we're going to talk. And I want to mention here that it's not just important what you choose, but also what you don't choose. So it does something. Okay, we're going to talk about that. The next one is the next thing I wanted to talk to you about is the purpose, or the hedgehog concept. The hedgehog concept comes from the book called Good to Great. It's some concept that the author developed from the phrase The fox knows many things, but the hedgehog knows one big thing. And here the idea was that the fox does lots of little things, but really superficially, and she never dips down into anything. But the hedgehog, she knows just this one thing, and she does it really well, and then she can achieve much more like this instead of being dissolved in all the possibilities that the world has to offer. And I want to introduce this model. Actually, this three-circle model comes from the book, but I saw at some conference, I saw this beautiful four concept model, and I thought this might be a little bit more beneficial for you. So here you will need to think about each circle, and you will have to answer these questions. So you just first write, what is that which I love? For instance, I love talking to people. And then the second one would be, what is that which I'm good at? Okay, so for instance, I'm good at making presentations. Uh, what is that for which I can be paid? For instance, I can be paid for teaching, let's say, or for giving trainings. And what is that which the world needs? Okay, maybe the world needs now some training about coping with stress or surviving in a stressful situations, right? And then you see the overlaps between those four. So that which I love and that which the world needs is my mission. Anyways, you will think of that and you will try to come up with the activities or professions which stand in the overlap of each. Okay, so you will think about your passion, think about your job, think about your profession. So I named for which I can be paid was the giving presentations, and for instance, the what the world needs is the stress coping mechanism. Maybe this is not something I really like, but if someone commissions me to do that, I could get it as a job, all right? And then, after you already pointed out all of those, and you thought and you checked that, okay, this is an actual thing, it could exist, then you will try to think of something that lays in overlap of all of those. Okay, and that would be your hedgehog or your one thing. So that would be something that you both love, you're good at that, you potentially can be paid for something like this, and this is important for the world. Okay, so no pressure, just think about this. If you maybe come up with example just for circles, we will think together and then we will see what comes out. Okay, I find this really helpful, and you can redefine yourself with this easily many times through your life because you're a dynamic system.